Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hamilton County Coaches Show here on Hometown Television, Hamilton County Television, our weekly gathering with some of the head coaches from our various high schools around Hamilton County. An exciting night, Friday night, lots of drama on the field in some places, other things not quite as good. Unfortunately for Coach Rick Wimmer, his team was on the short end of a game against the Avon Orioles.
Avon's a very good team, and but you know, I was a little disappointed in the way we played. I've really been pleased with the improvement I think our team's made the last couple of weeks. I thought last week at Brownsburg, you know, particularly defensively. In fact, I thought defensively and special teams wise, probably played well enough to win that game. And we struggled offensively really all year. And that was evident again this week. And then defensively, we were not the kind of team that we've been the last couple of weeks. And even special teams wise, although we had some I think good performances from our punter and kicker, we didn't get much out of our return teams, and I think a little bit subpar in that area as well. So we've got some things to work on. We're eager to get back to it this week against a very good Cathedral team. But what I hope to see this week is we play with a lot more emotion, a lot more passion, and some enthusiasm, and we'll continue to work at executing better, and we'll get a couple guys back this week, particularly on offense, that I think can help us, and we hope to get the offense on track.
One of the things we were talking about a little bit earlier was just the fact that you came into this game. It was not it wasn't a good game for you guys. I've known you a while. I know you've always been a positive person and try to bring something positive out of a game, win or lose.
Well, you know, that's a tough one on this one because we didn't do very well. But we do have an excellent punter in Taylor Soper and kicker in Ben Norton, and they've performed well all year, and I thought they performed pretty well this week as well. I thought we've got a couple young linebackers, Emmanuel Davis and Seth Sontich, that I thought played pretty well for us and made progress all through the year. And I thought they're playing pretty well. Offensively, we've got to find some playmakers. We aren't really, and part of it is getting the ball to our playmakers. We need. And Devontae, as a group, I think we've got a good group of running backs, but we're really struggling up front in the offensive line right now with some injuries. So I don't care how good a running back you are, how good a group of running backs you've got, it's pretty tough when you're struggling up there. So there's still a lot of season yet to play. We're going to get some guys back this week, and I think we've got some more guys to get back as the weeks go on here, as the season goes on. I thought we had a really good practice today. I think our guys understand that we can't play the way we played last Friday, and just really the mental side of it, the understanding that you got to be emotional, you got to be passionate, you got to have some enthusiasm, some fire. We just didn't have that, and it happens sometimes. So we've got to bring that this Friday night.
How about the health of the team this week, Coach? You alluded to the fact you're going to probably get hopefully one or two players back in uniform.
Yeah, we're going to get Isaiah Dunnick back, who's been a fullback, tight end type player for us on offense, and that's big. We haven't had him for about 4 weeks, and we were using him quite a bit, and we really haven't filled that void since he's been gone. And then Andrew Voskel's been out a couple weeks and with an ankle, and it looks like he's going to come back this week. Did a little bit today. He'll do more tomorrow. Quarterback Matt Wolf, who's been out, really kind of started the season with he and Joel Smith splitting time, and we started Joel Smith in the first game, and I thought Joel played pretty well in the first game, but Matt came up with an injury in that game, and he hasn't been back since. And I thought they were At times it had kind of gone back and forth as the guy that had the upper hand. So I would have liked to have had him, but we just haven't. But it looks like he practiced a little bit today. I think he got through it pretty well. And then our sophomore, John Vore, I thought played pretty well in the second half against Avon, so we're giving him some reps as well, and trying to get a little better, play from that position. We just haven't got what we need there. So there are some bright spots coming. I think our best football is still ahead of us, but we've got to have a tough attitude, and we've got to bring some passion to it. And if we can do that, I think we can get some things turned around this season. This is going to be a tough week to do it because we're playing, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in
Cathedral's
in 6A.
number 3 ranked. Yeah.
So this is a tough week to do it. But if you can do it, you're going to find out. Just if we can be competitive, if we can put it together this week and be ready to play against them and get a win, obviously. I just want to see us compete a little bit better than we did last week.
We've talked a couple times already through the season about your kicking game, and Norton and Soper, of the games of years that I've seen, they've just done a tremendous job. Talk about what that contribution and having a field goal kicker and a punter with the legs that those guys have got. How's that help your team?
Well, when you cross the 40-yard line, you're 35-yard line. We feel like when we get across the 35, we got a chance to score at least 3 points. Now, he's hit a 52-yarder this year, and he's hit a couple from over 40. So, he's he got a very good leg, and he puts a number of his kicks in the end zone. So, and he's just a junior. I mean, he'll be coming back, and we feel like he's he can make a lot of different kinds of kicks. So he was our kicker last year as a sophomore, and I think really matured this year, gotten physically stronger, and it really shows. And then Taylor Soper is just we've gotten 2 or 3 possessions on muff punts because of the height and the distance that he punts the ball, and most high school kids aren't used to fielding punts like that.
Yeah.
So every time we punt the ball, I mean, there's a chance that we could come up with it. We hustle down there. So he's done a tremendous job punting it, and we've had pretty good coverage. I feel like we get better job from our return teams than we're getting. We're especially our kickoff return. I didn't feel like we had great kickoff returns this last week, and that's an area that we're going to work hard on this week, try to give our offensive ball a little bit better field position. But for the most part, our special teams have been very solid. Jeff Harkins, our special teams coordinator, he works at it very hard, and a lot of our coaches are involved in special teams. It's not just Jeff, but Jeff spends the time studying video and making a game plan and putting it together, and he's making a lot of the decisions with special teams. He does a great job, and our kids buy into the fact we've always made sure we spend adequate time on special teams, and our kids understand the importance we place on it as a staff. So I think that's one of the reasons we've been successful with it.
We've just got a few seconds left here in this segment. Let's just talk very briefly about the game you've got coming up Friday night. Cathedral comes to Reynolds Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, very good team, good balanced team. They can run it and throw it. Been impressed with their quarterback, particularly as a runner. I mean, that can really give you a problem when a quarterback can run the ball, and he's a pretty good passer too. They're big up front. Defensively, I think they're bring a lot of pressure on you, and you've got to get the ball out, and we got to find a way to run the football, which is people haven't done very well on them. So it's going to be a big challenge for us. Like I said, we're getting a couple guys back. I think our attitude today was great. I think our kids understand and are disappointed with the way they played last Friday. I think they're going to be eager to show that that's not our real team, and we're going to come out ready to play the way Fishers plays, and that's go out and compete and play hard, and I think our guys will do that Friday.
Well, good luck against Cathedral, Coach. Coach Rick Wimmer, head coach of the Fishers Tigers. We'll be back with more on the Hamilton County Coaches Show after this message.
You know, when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Back.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Coaches Show. I'm Brad Silbert. We're joined now by the head man from the Millers, Jason Simmons. Jason, we just talked to Rick Wimmer, and his team last week in their game on Friday night was just polar opposite of what you guys were able to do with Hamilton Heights. You guys had a heck of a good night Friday night.
You know, I thought we did. I thought we came out a little flat early. We were fortunate enough to get a ball thrown to us. Ben Groover got a pick six to open the game, and that really got our defense going. Our defense took the field on the next possession with just a different bounce to them. I thought we controlled the line of scrimmage, which I felt like we needed to do to have some success. But our defensive line played really well. Roman Jenick, Dalton Davis, those two guys really played well up front defensively for us, and that got us going. We were able to control the line of scrimmage and really neutralize them offensively.
Well, what I was impressed with is before they even got on the board, you guys had 31 points on the board before they even scored.
Yeah, we did. We were balanced offensively. You know, I thought we wasted 2 drives. I talked to our kids about that today. You know, we had 2 drives to that fringe red zone area and just didn't have a good plan, and we didn't execute well. And we had 3rd and 9 from about the 30, and then 4th and 9, and so I felt like we kind of wasted those 2 possessions. And good football teams don't do that, you know. And so we certainly left some things on the table, and we have some areas to get better at. But I felt like our kids played the way that we needed to play.
In looking at some of the stats from the game Friday night, 38 rushes for 281 yards, 7 of 11 on passes, no interceptions, no fumbles. Those are the kind of stats that have got to make a coach happy.
Well, I think the last 2 weeks we've really dominated. We've dominated the takeaway turnover margin. You know, we put it on the deck one time against Zionsville through an interception, but we had 6 takeaways, so we were +4 there. Friday we had 3 more interceptions. So over the last 2 games we're +7 in the turnover margin. We're getting more guys to the football. Our kids we're getting more hands on the football, and so we're certainly getting better in that area. Offensively, I felt like our discipline was good in terms of ball security, but it's gonna get tested this week versus a very good defense.
Let's talk a little bit more about your offense before we go into the game coming up Friday night. Very balanced running among the rushers, even your quarterback, 56 yards and 6 carries.
We had 4 guys with 50 or more yards. Chandler Hurst, I was really, really excited about him. Chandler was able to rip off some long runs, had his first 100-yard game. Was really excited about that. Tyler Gonzalez ripped off a 38-yard touchdown run where he got some really good downfield blocking from Drew Scheib and Blake Taylor. And then, we played a puppy there in the fourth quarter in Luke Blevins, who ran really hard between the tackles, and he put a whole drive together. I think he ended up with right around 60 yards, and I think 56 of them came on one drive, and so it was great for him to get some Friday night action, because he's played really well for us this year.
Well, it looked like also in your passing game that I believe it was Ginther had 2 receptions, and the rest of the other 5 receptions went to different players.
Yeah, and that, we've been preaching balance the last 2 weeks, and we've been able to spread the football around. Part of that is by scheme, and just part of it is just by playing more people. Nolan has been a really good target for us down the seam. He had a really, really nice looking touchdown catch on Friday, where he had to work the back of the end zone and extend his 6'5" frame to go get it. So he's a good target down in the red zone. He's a good target down the seam for us, and we were able to get some touches spread out amongst the other 5 receivers.
How's the health of the team this week?
Knock on wood, we're about as healthy as we've been all year. We got some guys back last week going into the game that give us more depth. We've played some young guys now through some injury phases, but we're about as healthy as we've been going into a game this Friday, so we're certainly looking forward to a great matchup with the Royals.
Well, you've got 3 games coming up in the regular season here to end the season. The Royals this weekend. The following weekend you go to Brownsburg, and then you have Avon. And as I was looking at your schedule this week, of the 9 games that you guys have, 7 of those 9 games are against ranked teams. And I think it's quite an accomplishment for what you guys have been able to do. I think it's a great accomplishment.
Well, I think it's a testament to our kids and our coaches. Our staff has been pushed hard to, we preach to our guys all the time. We have to go win the inch. And part of winning the inch is concentrating on mastering ourselves, and that's our preparation for the next opponent. That's taking care of the small details that are going to make us a better football team. And that's even in week 7, it's concentrating on the fundamentals and the little things. We want to get lined up. We want to have great initial movement. We want to have great technique. After that, it's football. But we have to continue to work and improve on those 3 things. And our kids and coaches have really taken ownership in that.
Big rivalry games are nothing for you guys. I mean, it's just almost every week is a rivalry anymore in Hamilton County. What do you do to keep your kids up and psyched up and go from game to game to game? Because it certainly seems like with the Heights game that there might have, some of the kids might have said, "Oh, this is only Hamilton Heights," and I don't mean that derogatorily toward them. A 6A versus a 3A team, and maybe they're kind of looking forward a week or two, saying, "Well, hey, we got Southeastern and Brownsburg and Avon coming up." In it, what do you do to get the kids? How do you keep them focused?
Well, it really starts on Monday for us. We try and set the tone every week, but I think so much of keeping kids and teenagers focused is driving them. And it's easy for these guys to get on their phones and to communicate with anybody through text. And so for us, we have to put the pedal down, and we have to emphasize what's important. And the important part for us is taking care of mastering us. And that for us, we can't emphasize that enough. We have to master us. And until we can master us, we can't worry about who's on deck Friday, and certainly who's on deck the next 3 weeks. And so, our focus since Saturday morning has been on Hamilton Southeastern, and I tell you what, Coach May has a daggone good football team.
How do you prepare for this team?
Oh, geez, I think you throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, and whatever sticks stays. But you really have to evaluate people, because they try and put their players in the best possible position to help their football team. When you look at them defensively, 5 or 6 guys jump off the screen at you pretty quickly. They on the back end they got a safety who looks like a linebacker, and I've loved that kid since the first time I saw him play as a sophomore, in Brock Burns. And that kid is a very good football player. They have some explosiveness up front on their defensive line. They have some really good second level players. You look at them across the board, and there's a player or 2 at every level. There's 2 players in their secondary. There's a couple players in the linebacker level. There's some D linemen that are really impressive. And then you look at them offensively, and you have to get Mullet off a spot, because if you let him stand back there and flash fake and rip one, it ain't going to be good. And they have some dynamic playmakers. They seem to be getting healthier. They got some skill guys coming back here in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, that make them really dynamic. And so for us, defensively, we have to get lined up and we have to read keys. And I keep saying it over and over, but it really is about those two things first, and then being able to being in the right spot to go make a play after that.
Well, my view on the thing is it's going to be one heck of a game Friday night.
I hope you're right.
I
know
think
the
it
Millers
will be
ready, but
it should it's going to really that game is going to be very important as far as determining who the conference champion is going to be. This is Coach Jason Simmons of the Noblesville Millers. Thank you, Jason, for being with us. We'll be back in a minute.
Also our game of the week.
And don't forget, that's our game of the week next week. The Millers and the Royals, 7 o'clock Friday night here on Hamilton County Television. We'll be back in another minute.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Coaches Show. I am Brad Silbert. Immediately to my left is Mitch Street, the head coach of the Hamilton Heights Huskies. Mitch, it was kind of a long night at Noblesville for you guys.
Well, I thought we came out and did some good things throughout the game, especially in the first half, and we gave up the score right before the half to make it 21-0, head into halftime there, and really for the most part had like I said, kept it relatively close, and we're able to move the ball different times, but we're not able to get scores and get points on the board and those types of things. But it's a good game for us in the fact that, like I think I mentioned at different media outlets, so that for us, it's a game where for us to have a chance, we have to execute a game plan to perfection, and we weren't able to do that. But there's definitely a lot of things that you can learn from a loss like that, and a lot of things you can take away.
Well, it was not in by any stretch of the imagination, it wasn't a good evening for you. But every coach I know is the type of person who says, regardless of whether we win, regardless of whether we lose, we take something positive away from each game. Give me a couple things that that you saw Friday night that are positive, that you were pleased with. A couple things maybe that need a little work too.
Well, I think 2 things you're really pleased with our effort is for one, I thought our kids really fought really hard. I don't think they ever quit in that game. We had different opportunities and different types of things to move the ball. I think one of the things I'm really proud of is we were able to run the football, relatively effectively. We were able to run when we wanted to. We needed to balance up with our passing game. Was ineffective, and that really kept us from taking off offensively. But we averaged just under 4 yards a carry, which is what we kind of said we needed to do to have a chance coming in, and we needed to run the ball for 4 yards a pop, and on average we were able to do that. Like I said, we weren't able to balance up offensively with our passing game, which is kind of something we really coming out of, we had 3 completions and 3 interceptions, and turn the ball over, and that type of stuff is really tough to do against a good football team and win, and that's something that we're disappointed and kind of frustrated, I guess, kind of coming out of that game, but definitely an area that we have to improve in, to be successful. I think at times we played pretty good defensively. I think it's one of those things too where we gave them a touchdown early in the game. In our first possession, we gave them a touchdown with an interception return for touchdown. We had other turnovers as well. We just put our defense continually back on the field, and so that's tough. I think you look at our numbers overall in terms of what the amount of yards we gave up and those types of things. I think you can be overall, if you say they had 350 yards of offense, I think you come out of that saying that's all right. That's not too bad. We can handle that. But with the turnovers and those types of things makes it tough. But definitely love the way our kids fought and the way they continued to play throughout the game and never gave up despite the score and really battled through some adversity, which I'm proud of.
You come to Noblesville, which has got a lot of history, large stadium. You guys brought an amazing number of people with you. I don't think there was a seat anywhere in that stadium available from what I saw. And in addition to the fact that it's Noblesville homecoming, when you're going to another school, does the homecoming situation, does that ever take into play for you guys? Or?
I don't think so. I mean, I think for us it's fun. I really enjoy those types of atmospheres. We play at some places at times, not necessarily in this conference, but in years past where we may have a larger away fan section than what the home team did. But for us, I think it's a great atmosphere to play in. It's good for our kids. It gives you kind of a tournament-like feel in a game like that. But the biggest thing with homecomings and towards the end of the year with senior nights even too is you do have a longer halftime. And for us, the amount of guys that we have that play both ways, and especially in the game where we're playing an opponent that doesn't have that longer halftime can play a role in fatigue or can play a role in guys getting tight and those types of things. And so I think that'd be the only thing that would impact us in terms of the crowd. I mean, that's not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think with high school stadiums, the open air stadiums, you don't have the noise factor as much during the game and those types of things. But outside of halftime, I think it's relatively easy to manage and handle.
Stars of the game from Friday.
Well, I think our offensive line really overachieved. You look at, I think they're a group that's really kind of pushed their skill level and have played to a level where. If we came in and said we ran the ball like we did, and our numbers aren't great, but we rushed for just over 100 yards, and we're able to run when we weren't passing the ball well, which is good for us. I really think those guys up front played really well. I thought Jake Beal, who ran the ball pretty effectively for us, and Clayton Cowan, both those guys played really well. I thought Zach Stevens played well on the offensive line. I thought defensively. Jason Beck played pretty well. I thought Riley White played pretty well. I thought we had several guys up front that really played really hard. And so certainly Weatherford's a kid that does a little bit of everything for us. All 3 phases of the game. I thought he had a really efficient game for us as well. But really proud, like I said, of our effort. It's going to be a tough game, and it's for us. We lose our one of our tackles, our starting defensive tackle and offensive tackle in the second quarter, and we were already short offensive lineman that started for us in the beginning of the season who was out with injury as well. And so we're really proud of just, overcoming some of those things and overcoming some, some adversity and just we always kept playing, which I'm really proud of.
What is the situation with injury-wise now for your team, Coach?
Yeah, really better than expected. Kind of coming out of Friday night, it's a little scary. But I think we're going to be okay for the most part. I think most of the things ended up being relatively minor. And something that could probably day to day rather than week to week, which is good for us, But pretty good overall. Like I said, I thought we're hoping to get. We'll hopefully have our tackle back, Troy Burgesson, who went out in the second quarter, I thought was playing a really solid game for the first quarter and a half or so on both sides of the ball. I thought he's our best offensive lineman, and it looks like we're probably going to get him back if at the very least the following week. Hoping to get Noah Sauter back in the next couple weeks here, who's a kid that played offensively and defensive line for us as well, who's been out since week 1. So things are coming around, and I think it's just one of those things where we're fighting through it. We're fighting through some different things and continue to improve. And Clayton Cowan got banged up a little bit, but I think he's going to be all right as well. And so, much better than what it could have been for sure.
Well, you get Friday night off.
Yeah.
But you've got to work on Saturday.
Sure.
But you're going to a little different place on Saturday. You're playing Twin Lakes, but that game is going to be at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah.
What are you doing to prepare the kids for playing in that venue?
Well, I don't know. There's really a whole lot you can do. I think ultimately it's football still. I think you kind of, as coaches, you kind of got to plan for that first 3 or 4 minutes, maybe up to 7 minutes, where you kind of get that. You're gonna have to get that second wind a little bit, just because it's a different feel. It's a different type of just atmosphere. You talk about being homecoming being different when you're in that stadium and you have maybe 2,000 people or 4,000 people at max. Then when it says 65,000 or 66, whatever it is, that's a weird environment. And being able to play in that and so forth. So I don't know that you can necessarily prepare them, but it's just a matter of really recovering from that initial shock or initial excitement or whatever the case might be.
The awe
of it a little bit.
Yeah.
None of our kids have played there. We there for a while. We were playing there quite frequently, but none of our kids have. And so just being ready to adjust and be ready to overcome those things as they come.
Well, Coach Street, thank you very much for being with us tonight, and good luck against Twin Lakes, and we'll see you next Monday.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's Coach Mitch.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
We all have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Good evening once again. I'm Brad Silbert, along with Tom Dilley, head coach of the Guerin Flying Eagles. Well, it was the Woodmen and the Eagles this week, Tom. Tell us a little bit about the game.
We got off to a pretty good start. Kids came out and played hard and made some plays and got a few breaks along the way. I thought we probably improved, and we'll hope to do the same thing this week.
Pretty good team there from Greenwood, right?
No, Coach Campbell does a great job. His staff does a great job, and they have, they're always well coached and physical and sound and play hard, and a lot of really good, nice kids after the game too. It was just a good competitive atmosphere, and we have a lot of respect for the Greenwood program.
We didn't get a whole lot of information on the game. There was the Max Preps didn't have much on there. But it sounded like, from what I was able to see, that you guys really put together a pretty good overall game against Greenwood.
And one of the things I thought our kids did well is we got up a couple scores, but to Greenwood's credit, they kept closing it to a couple times, closed it to one score, maybe one time, and then every time they would respond, our kids would respond back in kind, offensively and defensively. So. I thought there were a number of our players who really stepped up and had good ball games.
Well, as I was looking at the stats this afternoon, I was really somewhat amazed that the game really was pretty evenly divided between both of the teams. The biggest difference is that it looks like the Woodmen, they did pass for about 90 more yards than you guys, but rushing wise, even attempts, they were 38 attempts, 219 yards. You guys were 36 at 220, of which Carter McGinnis had 213 of those yards. He had a good night.
He did. Carter was coming back after a week off with a shoulder and worked real hard to get back a little bit early, and tough kid, really hard worker, great leader. Yeah, he rushed for, I think, 213, maybe caught a couple balls for maybe 20 more. I thought he had a good ball game. He played a complete ball game, too. He was good in protection and good blocking for some other kids, too. So Carter played well.
It also appeared to me that you guys got out to a lead in the game and were able to pretty much take, I don't want to say really take control of the game, but that's the only phrase I can think of.
Well, it's always good to get out in front, and we were able to do that, and they responded and came back. And then, like I said before, our kids right before half, they deferred and they had the ball first in the second half, and our kids did a nice job of scoring. In fact, taking just enough time before the half, before we scored, that when they got the ball, they went half and then get the
stats in the game. I mean, that was really big because you guys played Greenwood even at 21-21 during the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's you never know how things will play out, if things will go differently, and we did what we needed to do in the second half. Thought our kids played well in the second half. We gave up a couple late scores that we certainly wish we hadn't, but we were pleased that we came out and put together first good drive when we got the ball and got a couple stops when we needed them.
Carter McGinnis, obviously one of the stars of the game for you Friday night. Who else would you give a game star to for Friday?
Yeah, Carter's having a great year. He's definitely a Mr. Football caliber player in our opinion, and so you come to almost expect some of those things from him, but it was an exceptional game. And our quarterback, Luke Keller, just keeps getting better and better. He was 10 for 15 for about 225 yards, and stood right in and delivered some of those balls under some pretty good duress, and made some nice plays and was smart with the ball as well, took care of it. Grant Freemian at wide receiver only had 2 catches, but they were 2 real big ones, 2 touchdown catches, one on just a 1-yard ball thrown up in the corner that made a nice one-handed catch, and another 60-some yarder that when the game was a little bit tight that we needed to get some separation between us and them. The guys up front did a nice job, obviously, as a collective unit, and defensively, I think Logan Weaver played well. Jake Labus played well. Jake Labus also made a key recovery of their onside kick late in the game when they got within 2 scores and then onside kick, and that's a big play he made on a tough hop. So those guys played well.
Well, it doesn't get any easier come Friday night when Brebeuf comes to the Eagles' Nest. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about that game. Talk a little bit about Brebeuf and what are we doing to prepare for that?
Well, Coach Ressler and his staff do a great job. That program is really consistently good, and again, another team that's always physical and always well coached, and so we're studying as much as we can right now, and the game plan is starting to form up, but you always make a few tweaks. So we'll go through our normal process. We tell our kids, as we always do, that we always want to treat them all the same. Obviously, with this being a school that they have a lot of familiarity with the kids, and we compete with all their other teams and other sports as well. So there's a little bit of an edge to it, but we're just going to try to play our best football game on Friday and be as well prepared as we possibly can, but they certainly present some challenges. What kind of challenges do they present to you, Coach? Yeah, their quarterback is a real great leader and great player, and he doesn't dazzle you necessarily at first glance, but he just makes plays with his feet and with his arm. And they have some good skill people that he can get the ball to, and they've got some size up front and some athleticism, and they're just a good solid team all around, and they've got some grit to them. They're not afraid to play in some tough, grinded out games because they play such a demanding schedule. They're certainly used to the full 48-minute grind and then some. So it's going to be a tough game, and it was a tough game last year, and we need to make a few fewer mistakes and just try to execute, and we'll be ready to go.
I look over your schedule here and the different teams that you've played this year. Your only loss this year came to Lafayette Central Catholic, but Greenwood, an excellent team. Martinsville, I think a team that was rebuilding, to say the least. Heritage Christian, new coach, new system there in that. But you've got quite a mixture of teams that you'll see. And, following Brebeuf, you got Chittard and Ron Colley, and that's got to present some challenges for you.
Yeah, it's cliche, but we're not really worried about those teams we have played, and we're not worried about the ones we're going to play. We're just focused on Brebeuf Jesuit.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being here with us tonight. Coach Tom Dilley.
Appreciate it.
From the Eagles at Guerin Catholic, and we'll be back after these messages.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: exceptional care, and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Television High School Football Coaches Show. We're joined by Hamilton Southeastern assistant coach Matt Alfeld. Before we get to Matt, just to remind you of a couple things that are coming up here. Don't forget, coming up Sunday night at 8 o'clock on ihsaatv.org, it will be the pairing show for the IHSAA sectional and eventually the IHSAA football championship. So that is coming up Sunday night at 8 o'clock. And speaking of Hamilton Southeastern, we are going to see them Friday night when they go up to visit the Noblesville Millers and play them Friday evening. But Coach Alfeld, let's just let's talk about Friday night a little bit. An exciting game against the Eagles.
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, the two teams combined for nearly 1,200 yards offense. Our quarterback broke the school record for yards passing in a game with 463, Adam Mullet, and he shattered that record by over 50 yards. So it was an offensive kind of night. We had a kid, Max Brooks, tie the school record for receptions in a game with 10. Adam also broke the school record for completions in a game with 30 and broke that by about 10 completions. So, wild night. A lot of plays were run, a lot of yards put on the board, and a lot of points put on the board. So it was a wild one.
Well, the Royals came out and just really took control of the game in the first half. Built up, what I think it was a 41 to 20 lead at halftime, and it just seemed like everything in that first half, every time they touched the ball, whether it was offensively or defensively, it was going right for HSE.
Well, I mean, we started off fourth play of the game. Alec Jessup caused a fumble, and Madison Norris scooped it up and returned it 27 yards for a touchdown. So, defense scoring first, after deferring and giving the ball away to start off the game. Defense scores on the fourth play of the game. You're in pretty good shape at that point, and the offense put a lot of points on the board early. I think we had 34 points at the half, so I think we did get one in the third quarter, but. It was just it was a good start, and our offense scored first and scored first in the third quarter as well, and that's always one of our goals is the fast start of each half, try to be the first to score, And we just held on. We allowed 3 unanswered touchdowns down the stretch, and offense stagnated a little bit, and defense kept shooting ourselves in the foot by giving up the big play, and we were able to hold on at the end. Trey Poor had an interception. They were going down with 6 or 7 minutes left to go in the game to tie the game. He got a pick in the end zone to turn away a drive, and then we were able to hold on a couple more times and turn their drives away and hold on for the win.
As a defensive coordinator, how do you prepare your team for a high-scoring team like Zionsville? I mean, their history all season has been scoring a lot of points. They put a lot of points on the board.
They do put a lot of points on the board, and we told them all week it was going to be like a circus out there. They run, you name it, they run it. They run shovel passes, they run reverses, they run flea flickers, they run hook and ladder, they run throwbacks, they run double pass. I mean, it's part of their offense, and they do it very, very well. They got to be putting in a ton of time practicing it because all those gadget plays are in, and they execute them well. They hit a reverse on us for about 80 yards. They ran a reverse flea flicker for a long pass against us down into the red zone, and that's just we ran into a problem. We could have done a better job, I think, as coaches getting them prepared and the kids executing on Friday night. But we told them all week, you got to do your job, and we can't have one guy out of position, because one guy out of position is going to be suspect to giving up that big play or to getting something over the top on you. And we had some assignment breakdowns on Friday night. We had some kids not playing part of the scheme and kind of going into business for themselves and trying to make a play that wasn't theirs to be made, and we got burned by it. So that's something we've got to learn from and move on, and we got to clean that up going forward.
I noticed that shortly, either late in the first quarter, early in the second quarter, the Eagles made a quarterback change. All of a sudden, Blake Levy was out and Andrew Broker was in.
Mm-hmm.
You know if Levy was injured, or was that a planned change, and what effect did that have on you guys?
I don't think from our perspective it had much of a change, because we knew both kids were very capable, and Broker had a lot of pass attempts leading up. We were kind of aware of where he was going to be, because he had gotten so much time in the first 5 games of the year. He'd completed several, he'd attempted several passes we saw on the stat sheets leading up. So we knew with all their trick plays, we were trying to be aware of if 15 snuck in as a slot receiver or as a wing back or something like that, because we knew that he's a kid that could throw it. So it sounded to me like it was kind of a ride the hot hand mentality, and both of those kids had gotten time over the course of the year, and I think 15 as the game wore on was the kid that they kind of went with, and he did a really nice job.
Adam Mullet, 30 for 44, and as you alluded to earlier, school record, 463 yards. Obviously one of the stars of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a couple of other stars of the game, a couple offense and a couple defense.
Obviously Adam, like you said, great job, and I think the 463 yards is awesome, and the 30 completions is awesome. He didn't complete any of the other team on Friday night, and I think that's one of the biggest things too, is no turnovers, and that's something Adam's been struggling with. So to see him come out and protect the ball like he did was great for him, and I'm so glad he got that record. He's a kid that richly deserves it. Matt Klink had a really nice game. I think it was around 170 yards receiving, 9 receptions and a touchdown. I mentioned Max Brooks with 10 receptions. He had 2 touchdowns on the evening. Carter Lohman again caught a touchdown pass for us. So offensively, those 3 kids did a really nice job. Defensively, Madison Norris had the scoop and score. Alec Jessup was a little bit under the weather, our inside linebacker, but he toughed it out and gritted it out and put in a nice game for us.
Still had him for 8 solo tackles.
Yeah. So he's a kid that's all over the field and does a really nice job. Zach Randall on the inside has been a real steady hand for us and does a nice job. I thought our defensive linemen, we're working Craig Kunkelman in there a little bit, and Max Burris. Those kids don't show up on the score sheet, but they're doing a nice job for us. Norris obviously gets a lot of attention and scored the touchdown. Our secondary did a nice job. Brock Burns and Austin Holzum. I mentioned Trey Poor with the 2 picks. Will Darlington. They were our leading tacklers on the game. So when your secondary is your leading tacklers, that kind of lets you know that you're giving up some chunks of yards, especially to the run, and that's something we're working to clean up. But it's one of those. We got to learn from it. We got to respond. We got to come back, and we got to do a better job against Noblesville next week.
That was truly an up and down the field game. Let's talk just a little bit. We've got less than a minute left here, Coach. You go to Noblesville Friday night. Big game. Probably a win for you at this point. With a little luck with Brownsburg, you can still win the conference.
Yeah, and for them too, Noblesville's only got one loss, and they've got Brownsburg after us. So, both of us are just trying to hang into the race and stay in the race. And one team's going to walk off the field on Friday night with 2 losses, and Noblesville's a great team. Coach Simmons does a heck of a job out there, and his kids play awfully hard, and they get after it and fly around. And their quarterback's a big, physical, bruising type of kid. He's a good runner, and he can throw it. So offensive line is scrappy. They get after it, and got a couple of receivers that can make plays and a running back that's a good complement to their quarterback who runs a lot. So we've got our hands full. Their defense historically does a really nice job flying around, and they're very sound, running their 3-3 stack, and they do a good job with it. So we got our hands full, and it's you got to come out and get this one, because both teams are going to get a shot at Brownsburg, and if we want to stay in the race like I know they want to stay in, we got to go in and get a victory on Friday night at their place. It's going to be a tall task.
It's going to be a wild one up there at Noblesville on Friday night, and Craig Atkins and I will be there along with Hamilton County Television. We'll be broadcasting that game live beginning about 6:50 Friday night, and we are looking forward to it. Coach Matt Alfeld, Hamilton Southeastern Royals. Thanks, Coach, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank our sponsor tonight, Greek's Pizza. The great pizza from our friends down at Greek's on South 10th Street here in Noblesville. They have been kind enough to donate pizza to us every week here for our program. Give them a call, 773-4444. Greek's Pizza, South 10th. We'll be back after this.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Football High School Coaches Show. Every Monday night here during the football season, we have a chance to gather with the Hamilton County high school coaches and talk to them about the game they played the Friday night before and the game they're going to be played the following Friday night. And it's all brought to you by our friends at Greek's Pizza on South 10th Street here in Noblesville. Give them a call, 773-4444. I'm joined by Bud Wright, Sheridan Blackhawks. I don't have to tell anybody your name or where you're from. Bud, good victory there on Friday night against Tri-Central.
Right, it was a really good victory for us. We got 2 in a row now, so we got things going a little bit. Hopefully we can continue and see what happens this week at Tipton, but it was a really good football game for us. We hadn't beaten them for a while. They had that run where they won the state 3 years ago, and they had some pretty good kids there. So we hadn't beaten them for a while, so it was a good victory for our kids.
Well, in looking at some of the stats here, Coach, I don't like to use the word dominate, but you guys really did pretty much dominate and control that game. Good even scoring, scored in 3 of the 4 quarters, managed to shut out what you have described as is a good Tri-Central team. A lot of yards rushing, 59 carries, 256 yards. not a lot of passing. So this was more of a ground game than a passing game.
Right. In fact, that was the least number of passes we've thrown in any game this year, by about half. I think before this game, I think like 13 or 14. We only threw the ball 7 times the other night, but the ground game was going good. Our defense was playing really good, and so we decided to just keep the ball on the ground and take it there and not take a chance on putting it up, and it worked out for us. But we need to get that passing game going sometime. We worked on hard tonight in practice, trying to get things straightened around on it.
Let's talk about stars of the game for you. Who stood out in that game Friday night?
Well, I think the key to the whole ball game is what you said. What dominated? Well, the score-wise, it was only 21 points, but our defense did not give up much at all, and our defensive front, Hunter Plouffe and Avery Bundy, Alex Gibson, and Kyle Harwood, they played a heck of a football game for us. They controlled the line of scrimmage as far as on the defensive side of the ball, and that was the big key. And they didn't throw that many passes, but we intercepted 2 of their passes, and that. So I think the defense is really what stood out for us.
Offensively, couple standouts for you.
Well, Joey Callahan is our featured running back, and he had another good night. He had 183 yards rushing, and I think he's leading the county in rushing and stuff. And like I said, he had another good night, and we didn't even know whether he was going to play or not because he went home from school sick, and then he came back to school. He went home and got some medicine and stuff there and came back to school Friday, and then he went back home, and we were getting ready to go out on the field, and he hadn't shown up yet. So, but about the time we went on the field, he showed up and said he was okay to go and everything. So he went out. And like I say, even though he was sick there, he still had 183 yards rushing for us.
Nothing like a little adversity to kind of
that's right,
kind of get the Jets rolling there.
Yeah, that's true. That's
seems
right.
like seems like sometimes when the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Yeah, because our other running back, Kenny Burnell, he was out in the game. He had a shoulder problem, and so he missed the game. Only thing he did was punt. So our 2 starting running backs, we thought we might be without both of them there, but Joey got there and everything worked out okay.
Health-wise, other than the 2 you've already talked about, how's the team looking?
We're in great shape. I mean, we not had hardly any injuries at all this year. Knock on wood, on that, because we had enough last year to account for all the years that I'm going to coach probably the rest of the time. But we had all kinds of injuries last year. But this year we've been really lucky. And we've escaped that injury bug pretty much.
You guys were the walking wounded last year.
Yes, we were.
And that's probably putting it mildly. 3 games left in the season to go. You have captured the Eastern Division of the Hoosier Heartland Conference, and now it's a matter of 2 regular season games plus a playoff game that you get with your HHC.
Right.
And if everything remains the same as it is in the West Division right now, it looks like that could be Carroll. But I was sitting in my office this afternoon looking at the possibilities and looking at these matchups, and it's hard to say who you guys might play.
Well, we figured that it's either going to be Carroll or North White. Mm-hmm. And they play this week, and I think the winner of that ball game will probably be the team that will win the West Division, and we played them both. We had those were our 2 crossover games, and North White beat us 27-28 at their place, and Carroll beat us 13-0 at our place, and so I think it'll be a toss-up this week which one wins. But no matter which one wins, it looks like that, or it won't look like, we will go to their place. Mm-hmm. So that ball game will be away, whoever wins it. But we'll find out this week a lot about who's going to be our opponent.
Of course, then we'll find out next Sunday who your opponent will be in the sectional too. Tipton coming up Friday night. Let's talk a little bit about those guys from up north.
Those Blue Devils.
Yeah.
Tipton's got a solid football team. They threw their conference in a turmoil. I don't know whether you talked about it before with coach at Heights or not, but Tipton beat Northwestern, and Northwestern beat Heights. So Tipton, Heights, and Northwestern, all three have got one loss. That's really put that in turmoil. But Tipton's playing pretty good. I think they probably had their best football game Friday night against Northwestern, and they look like they're coming on strong. They got a strong passing attack. They got a quarterback that's a 3-year starter. He even may have started a couple games his freshman year, and he's a senior now, and he's a good scrabbler. You put pressure on him, he's going to run the ball. He'll break out and run it, and he does a nice job running the football. I know he ran for 1 or 2 last year against us. I think 1 touchdown against us last year. So we're going to have to contain him, and our defensive backs are going to have to be on their toes. Against Western 2 weeks ago, they threw the football about 3/4 of the time. They didn't throw it quite that much last week against Northwestern, but they like to put the ball in the air. And their number 1 running back is out. I think he has got a knee problem as such there. He was on crutches last week. So they're using a sophomore running back who's a nice little running back. But I think that they'll probably put the ball in the air a lot.
Well, this will be senior night, I would assume, for your guys coming up.
Right.
And what a better way to cap off a football career than to get a victory on Friday night against Tipton in their senior night game.
Right. We really like that.
Coach Bud Wright, Sheridan Blackhawks. Coach, thank you for being here with us.
Well, thank you.
And we are going to right now go to an interview that Perry White taped a little bit. Not Perry White, Perry Williams.
He's with Superman.
Yes, Superman. Excuse me, Jim. I keep calling him Perry White. Perry Williams had a chance to talk to Westfield coach Jake Gilbert earlier today. Here's what they had to say.
Well, welcome, Perry Williams, with Coach Jake Gilbert. Good afternoon, Coach.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Tough game on Friday. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Absolutely. Played pretty well, not perfect, obviously, but you know, we won a lot of factors that you would look for to win a football game. We won the turnover margin. We won the explosive play battle. We outrushed them. We had a higher completion percentage. We outpunted them. We just came up a point short to very, very even teams, and we won all the stats, I suppose, except for the most important one, which is the score. So, but we played pretty well overall.
Now, Coach, don't want to go in depth about it, but, you know, with the loss against Southeastern and with this loss against Brownsburg, how are the kids as far as their attitudes and how they...
Yeah. Well, we're a resilient group. I mean, obviously it's not easy. 2 just heartbreakers where you've essentially put all this work into the season and to lose 2 conference games by a point apiece, 1 in overtime, both of which where you kind of felt like it was quite there, and then a penalty and the whole thing, your chance to win's taken away and all that stuff. So, I mean, they've been heartbreaking, but we just have to be mentally tough enough to keep going, learn from it, and get better for our ultimate goal. So we still have plenty ahead for this team to accomplish. We have no time to sit around and cry because we have Avon this week, so it doesn't get any easier.
That only put up 470 yards, total yards on Fishers.
Who's a good team.
Yeah, especially a good defensive team.
Right. So, yeah, we have plenty of work to do. We can't sit around and mope.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a couple things about the games, because with the Brownsburg game, who did you think played well for you? Maybe your top offensive and defensive players that you were quite proud of?
Well, you know, I guess I felt like defensively we held the nation's top quarterback to 14 to 34 and under 200 yards. So I would say our secondary did a decent job, and we did start to get to the quarterback in the second half with our pass rush. Now he hurt us bad with some scrambles. So when we got pressure, but he got out of the pocket, he had some timely first down scrambles. But, I feel like overall we would have taken that going in if you would have said that we could hold him, if he's the nation's top quarterback, hold him to under 200 yards passing. So felt pretty good about our secondary. Kobe Hauser had an interception. Chris Soto got his hands on a pass. Justin Fry had his hands on a pass. We just need to reel in a couple of those other interceptions that are in our hands. So those guys did a pretty good job. Will Harrison was still amazing punting the football. 3 big-time punts where he pinned them deep, and that really helped our cause, no doubt about it. And then I thought we played pretty darn well up front. Our offensive line, that was an excellent defensive line that we faced. So let's start with that. I mean, they have 4 dudes in there. They're big. They're athletic. And I thought our guys did a pretty good job. We kept our quarterback clean and gave him some time, and we were able to run the ball a little bit. So all in all, I was very proud of our offensive line. Johnny Sudan was playing great, and he kind of rolled an ankle, and that limited him some, but he had a great game while he was in there before he turned his ankle.
Coach, let's switch a little bit here and talk a little bit about what you got coming up this week with Avon. You are back at home.
Yes.
Okay. You're playing Avon that had total yardage of 470 plus against Fishers, who has a pretty good defensive team. They've been struggling offensively, and last week when we had Mike Kelly on the show, he said he was very concerned about their offense there at Fisher. But their defense has been playing pretty good, Fisher. So let's talk about what you might see here against Avon.
Sure. Well, I think they have one of the state's very best players. I mean, I don't know if it's possible for him to be underrated, but maybe he is. If he was a couple inches taller, I think Bryant Fitzpatrick would be a big-time SEC type of recruit. He's going to Indiana, and they're getting a good one. But he's running back, outside backer, returns kicks, so he's dangerous. So they have one guy who's very dangerous. Otherwise, they're pretty young for Avon standards. They graduated a lot, but they still have very good size and athletic ability. Their offensive line's big. I think the quarterback, he's been a good player. And then, defensively, they're really tough, just right up the gut. They're always good on defense. So it's going to be another battle.
Absolutely, and of course, this game is very important for you as far as the Hoosier Crossroad Conference. I know you're 2-2 now, but Avon's 2-1, so you take it one step at a time on moving up the ladder there, and we got some pretty good matchups here. You got Southeastern playing Noblesville this week, so that's a couple of 2-1. So
yeah.
This Hoosier Crossroad Conference could get real tight real quick.
Sure. Obviously, our chances there were hurt quite a bit the last 2 weeks by coming up just short against HSC and Brownsburg. But, I definitely think we could still get second. And you never know. I mean, Brownsburg, they're 3-0 in the conference, but they have Southeastern yet to go, Zionsville, and maybe Fisher. So we'll see what happens. But we just got to take care of ourselves right now in the game that we're in.
Absolutely, and the ultimate goal has come tournament time, okay, and I know it's tough to lose those 2 games to 6A schools, but you have to realize that you'll be playing in a 5A tournament, and this certainly will prepare you to reach that ultimate goal you have, is to be at Lucas Oil at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge advantage for us to be able to play all these schools that are way bigger than us, but then getting a tournament and play schools our size. So a lot of people think there's more kids that go here than there are because of who we play in a regular season.
Yes.
But we get in the tournament and they're like, well, but I'm like, well, all those schools, that's the size school we are.
Yeah.
We just compete up against 6A during the regular season. So yeah, it'll definitely help us and have us battle tested by the time we play in the 5A tournament.
Well, Coach, thanks a lot for taking time out here today and talking with me, and then good luck against Avon at home this weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
You're back. Welcome back to the Hamilton County Football Coaches Show. I'm Brad Silbert, joined this time by Perry Williams. Perry's not a coach.
That's right.
But he is an expert. He's an expert in any sports in Hamilton County. Just want to tell you a little bit about what's coming up here. Friday night, Perry, we're going to have one heck of a game. We're going to have Hamilton Southeastern coming up to Noblesville for a varsity football game. We'll be going on the air about 6:50. What's your take on that one?
I think it's going to be a pretty good football game. I think that the Millers got a little bit of momentum going now, winning 2 in a row here, and they had a big crowd last week at homecoming. Craig Atkins and I broadcast that game, but I think this week you and Craig are broadcasting the.
Yes, it'll be Craig and I this week.
So
the newly engaged Craig Atkins.
That's right.
Also, congratulations to Jack Russell. He and Craig both got engaged on the same day.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? A lot of other stuff coming up here on Hamilton County Television this week. Tomorrow, it's going to be volleyball as Guerin will be coming over to Noblesville. That match will start at 7 o'clock. Then on Wednesday night, it's girls soccer as Hamilton Southeastern comes and visits the Noblesville Millers. Then comes Saturday, we have the HCC cross country meet. For those of you not familiar with where that meet is going to be, that will be at White River Elementary School here in Noblesville. We'll be broadcasting that live at 10 o'clock. And also, we couldn't wrap up a show without once again thanking our great sponsor, Greek's Pizza, South 10th Street, 773-4444. Every week they provide us pizza, and by the time this program is done,
there isn't much left.
It's all gone. It's all gone. Perry, any last thoughts on the week in sports?
No, not really. I'm looking forward to this weekend again because it's always a great battle in the Hoosier Crossroad Conference, and also with Bud Wright's there at $3.98. So this. He could be going for $3.99 this week, and of course Heights is playing at Lucas Oil, so on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And the football pairing is Sunday.
Yeah, and don't forget the football pairing show for the IHSAA football tournament. That is on Sunday evening, I believe, 8 o'clock, and that will be live on IHSAATV.org. And also a couple last football games coming up for us. A week from this coming Friday, we'll be at Hamilton Southeastern High School as they entertain Wabanzi, a team out of Illinois. And then the final regular season game of this year, the Avon Orioles will be coming here to visit the Noblesville Millers. So that's it for this week's edition of the Hamilton County Television's Coaches Show. Thank you for watching. Good night.